Long before 1979, before crowds filled Tehran streets, before ballots were printed with only one question, Iran carried a different memory of itself. This was just another nation state in the 20th century. This was Persia, land of Cyrus the Great, of the Achaemenid Empire, of Persepolis rising from stone like a declaration of permanence. Empires had risen here long before Europe learned to map the world. Dynasties had come and gone, but Persia endured identity, language, poetry, and pride. Even when Islam arrived in the 7th century, Persia did not dissolve. It absorbed, reshaped, adapted. Persian culture thrived inside Islamic civilization, producing poets like Hafiz and Rumi, scholars, architects, thinkers. Iran's history was layered, imperial, spiritual, and intellectual. By the 20th century, that layered history had narrowed into something more fragile. Monarchy under the Pahlavi dynasty. At its head stood Muhammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah, ruler by crown, sustained by oil, supported by Western allies. From a distance, his Iran looked modern. Skyscrapers rose in Tehran. Oil revenues exploded after 1973. Western leaders toasted him as the pillar of stability in a volatile region. He spoke of progress, secularism, and transforming Iran into a global power. But progress imposed without consent curdles. Underneath the highways and celebration ceremonies, including the extravagant 1971 celebration at Persepolis marking 2500 years of Persian monarchy, there was resentment. Rural reforms displaced farmers faster than cities could absorb them. Wealth gathered around elites. Inflammation climbed. The gap widened. And there was Sabak, the Shah's secret police. Not omnipresent, but infamous. Arrests without transparency. Interrogations whispered about. Fear not because everyone was punished, but because enough were. The authority did not scream, it lingered. Conversations softened in homes. Students lowered voices in universities. Journalists learned to omit. Clerics learned to speak in metaphor. People were not yet revolutionaries. They were tired. Tired of feeling managed. Tired of foreign influence shaping policy. Tired of corruption wrapped in modernization. Tired of silence, and when exhaustion meets recognition, it moves. Recognition arrived from exile. From Paris, a cleric recorded sermons that traveled back to Iran on cassette tapes. His name was Ruhollah Khomeini. He did not speak like a technocrat. He spoke a moral language, dignity, justice, independence, faith. To bazaar merchants, he promised fairness. To students, freedom. To clerics, restoration. To nationalists, sovereignty free from the American shadow. Each group heard what it needed. That was the revolution's first illusion. Shared anger felt like shared vision. By January 1978, protests erupted after a government newspaper insulted Khomeini. In the holy city of Qom, security forces fired on demonstrators. Deaths followed. According to Shia mourning tradition, memorials were held 40 days later. And those memorials turned into new protests. The cycle repeated. 40 days, protest, blood, mourning, protest again. On 8 September 1978, in Tehran's Jaleh Square, later called Black Friday, troops opened fire on demonstrators under martial law. Casualty numbers remained debated, but the impact was undeniable. Reform was no longer believable. When the Shah left Iran on 16 January 1979, officially on vacation, power was already dissolving. On 1st February, Khomeini returned to Tehran to a reception of millions, and on 11 February 1979, the military declared neutrality. A monarchy of centuries evaporated. For a brief, intoxicating moment, it felt like liberation. Then came the question. In March 1979, Iranians were asked to vote in a national referendum. The ballot was stark. Islamic Republic, yes or no? No constitutional draft, no alternative models, no debate about separation of powers, just affirmation or rejection of a phrase, charged with emotion. Many voted yes out of faith, many out of relief, many because momentum felt sacred. On 1st April 1979, Iran was officially declared the Islamic Republic of Iran. The structure that followed was unlike the Shah's monarchy, yet strangely familiar in concentration of authority. At the apex stood the supreme leader, a role Khomeini assumed, above presidents, above parliament, above courts. Guardian councils ensured laws conformed to Islamic principles. Revolutionary courts tried former officials swiftly. Executions followed. At first, many supported this. Justice felt urgent. Then the circle widened. Leftist allies were arrested. Liberal figures sidelined. Newspapers shut down. Universities closed in the Cultural Revolution of 1980 to 83 to purge un-Islamic influences. Professors were dismissed. Curriculum rewritten. Language shifted. Freedom became moral order. Criticism became sedition. Opposition became enemy of the revolution. In March 1979, women protested mandatory hijab laws. They were attacked and dismissed as westernized. Over time, dress codes hardened into enforcement. Morality patrols emerged. Personal choice narrowed. Some women adapted. Others resisted quietly. Many felt betrayed. The revolution they supported now regulating their bodies. Then, Iran-Iraq war entrenched power further. War demands unity. Unity demands obedience. Dissent during war becomes treason. Power solidifies. By the time Ayatollah Khomeini died in 1989, the Islamic Republic was institutionally rooted. His successor inherited not just leadership, but a system designed to outlast personality. Decades passed. Children born after 1979 grew up inside this framework, never having chosen it. They inherited laws, restrictions, narratives. Some believed, many questioned. In recent years, protests have reignited over economic strain, political repression, and especially women's rights. The death of young women after morality police encounters sparked national outrage. Women removed headscarves publicly. Young men stood beside them. The state responded with arrest, force, and internet shutdowns. This pattern repeats. Iran today is not frozen in 1979, but it is still shaped by it. Persian history speaks of empires rising and falling, of rulers claiming divine mandate, of people enduring beyond regimes. In 1979, Iranians believed they were reclaiming dignity. Some did. Others traded one form of control for another. The revolution did not fail in removing a king, it faltered in limiting power. And so the question remains, not just for Iran, but for any nation swept by righteousness anger. When you overthrow authority, who ensures the next one cannot rise unchecked? Iran's history is not simple oppression or simple fail. It is a nation negotiating its ancient identity with modern control. It is mothers teaching daughters caution, students testing boundaries, clerics debating doctrine, officials defending order, artists finding metaphor when speech is dangerous. It is a country still arguing with 1979. And perhaps that is the most chilling truth. Revolutions end, the consequences do not.